Can we talk AI? Because so many people talk about that, and I just think nobody, including myself, really has much of a clue. I'd love to hear from the expert.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus, you had me come and do that talk to the
Oh
agency
man,
conference.
I'm still, by the way, I'm still processing. That was like 4 years ago. but even then, I remember having you come do that because I think we were at a pivotal point where everybody's kind of sitting there going like, well, I want to expedite it. I want to jump over. I want an advantage. I want all these different things. And I was sitting around going like, man, I look out at an agency audience, especially when we used to have our old show and we had our other events for agencies, and everybody would come up and ask me, I think, the wrong question. It was always just like, okay, great. Give me the framework, give me the method. And I'm like, yeah, but there's some higher level thinking here. Like there's people that are sitting here pontificating and thinking about ways that we can leverage marketing and we can leverage I don't want to keep saying artificial intelligence, but what is out there that can absolutely aid us in the process of getting where we want to go faster, and what's the right way of doing that. So now AI at the time when you came out and spoke at that event was kind of like a cliche thing. Like people would just be like, oh yeah, I'm really dabbling in AI. It's like bullshit.
You know
what are you talking about? Yeah, nobody does. Like I would sit there just to, if I'm at a bar and I'm trying to impress people, like, yeah, I'm really focused on artificial intelligence right now, guys. And they'd be like, oh wow, buy that guy a beer.
Really
so
smart.
what I want to know is,
right?
Yeah. So let's stop acting smart. Tim and I clearly we get on this show to learn because we're dumb and this we want to hear from experts. So let's go from like baby steps to crawl to walk to run in this conversation. And what's the baseline for? Hey, everybody should just understand this about AI at a foundational level.
So I'll take a minute and tell you how I got where I am after 11 years looking at this, and then a real simple concept of what it is and how you can do something with it. So I wrote the manuscript for the marketing agency blueprint in 87 days from April to June 2011. In February of 2011 is when IBM Watson won on Jeopardy, beat Brad Rutter and Ken Jennings on Jeopardy. So after I finished the manuscript of the book, I started trying to figure out, well, what is that technology? Because I was working on a really hard problem at the time, and that was how to build marketing strategy and allocate budget. So when I graduated college in 2000, there was like 5 ways to spend marketing budget. In 2011, there was like 5,000. And so I'd become convinced that humans were incapable of optimizing strategy and budget allocation. So I looked at Watson and said, that's interesting. What is that? And can it help solve this problem I have? Because I was trying to build a better project management system that could do this. So I started trying to figure out, can I apply whatever this AI thing is to building an intelligence engine to help guide marketing strategy? Start reading and researching everything I can find. There is not a single book written by a non-AI person. So what you find is AI people, engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, researchers, they suck at explaining AI to non-AI people. So I just dove in. I was like, I have to comprehend this concept. And it took years until I was comfortable enough to stand on a stage. In 2015, South by Southwest was the first talk I gave on AI, I think. And then the MarTech, I keynoted the MarTech conference with Scott Brinker. First time I became comfortable being able to stand on stage and give a definition of AI and machine learning and not fear that there was a machine learning engineer in the audience who was going to correct me. So it's like, I have arrived at a confidence level that I can explain this to the average person. And if someone challenges me who does this for a living, I am comfortable having a discussion with them about my perspective and why I'm saying what I'm saying. So that I wrote about AI. The first time publicly I talked about what I was working on was in the second book, which I wrote in 2014. And there's a section, it's a 50,000 word manuscript. There's about 1,000 words on artificial intelligence and the coming age of automation. At that moment, 2014, HubSpot IPO'd without a single machine learning engineer on staff. Salesforce was doing machine learning, but not at a high level. The AI wasn't infused into marketing and sales software yet. So we were researching it and starting to talk about it, but no one was actually doing it. And there's a reason for that, because there's been major advancements in Jarvis. You mentioned Jarvis before we came on this, like language generation and understanding, the ability for Siri and Alexa to actually pretty reasonably respond to you. That all largely happened in the last 2 to 3 years. There was these major advancements of what called deep learning that advanced the machine's ability to understand and generate language. So fast forward to today, what you have to understand about AI as an agency, because I'm under the belief that within 3 to 5 years, 80% or more of what you do every day will be intelligently automated by AI to some degree as an agency person. And why I say that is, if you think about your life today, you will use artificial intelligence dozens of times. So Spotify recommends songs, Netflix recommends shows and movies, Google Maps uses machine learning to route you to your destination, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of them use AI algorithms on your feeds. So AI is infused into your consumer life, your daily routines. Gmail finishes your sentences for you. Smart Compose within Google Docs. Like, none of that exists without artificial intelligence. So what AI does at a very simple level is it makes machines smart. And what I mean by that is, if you're using email marketing to do a send to 10,000 people today, you figure out the segments of the list, you write the subject line, you write the lead, you write the body copy, you pick the CTA, you pick the images, you figure out when to send them. You make all of these rules-based decisions based either on analytics or on instinct, maybe a combination of both. It never gets better or smarter unless you get better or smarter. You analyze the data, you figure out how to change the subject line. So that is marketing historically up until now. And it can be applied to social media, advertising, email, all these things. With AI, the software gets smarter. It figures out what subject line to write to adapt and drive optimal open rates. It figures out when to send at an individual level, because Marcus opens emails on Saturday nights and Tim opens them on Friday mornings. And it knows and it learns to do that. So AI is just a collection of tools that make your life smarter and make marketing smarter. And it does it basically by making predictions about outcomes and behavior. Like, it looks at things and it makes predictions about what path to take or what to do. And then the other piece is it gives machines human-like abilities to see, to understand, to generate language, things like that. So we basically bucket into language, vision, and prediction. Those are kind of the three broad things that AI is learning how to do. And then it does it at very narrow tactical levels.
Tim, do you understand that?
I'm following along, believe it or not. So one of the things, sometimes I really have to fight my own beliefs. And Paul, one of the things that I'm proud of that we do here is we're hands-on keyboard. And I will say to my agency friends and potential agencies, we don't use a lot of AI. We don't use that automated, what I would think of as set it and forget it. But what I'm hearing from you is there's an opportunity maybe to blend both, but also because things have gotten better, unless you're constantly getting better, as an analyst, you're going to be eclipsed by smart data.
Yeah. Do you ever drive a Tesla or ever been in a Tesla? Like, experienced autopilot?
Yeah.
So the best way I can explain this is the autonomous vehicle industry has a rating scale that assesses how autonomous a car is. There is no such thing. In their world, it goes from 0 to 5. Level 5 is you don't need a steering wheel. Doesn't really exist today. You don't need a steering wheel in all conditions, all roads, anywhere. A Tesla autopilot, which is considered the consumer grade, the most advanced there is level 2 out of 5. Yeah. And all that does is says, what does the human driver do? So the point being, there are levels of intelligent automation. And when you think about this in terms of marketing, we created what we call the marketer to machine scale. And ours goes from 0 to 4. So 0 is all human all the time. There's 0 intelligence built into it, 0 human or AI intelligence. At level 1, it's some AI. Maybe it recommends the subject line for your email, but the human's still doing everything else and still deciding if that's the subject line that's going to be used. And so what we're telling people is there's no such thing as level 4 or full autonomy in marketing, and there probably will never be. There are no set it and forget it, no human oversight or inputs or human in the loop stuff happening in marketing today. What you're trying to do is, like with a tool like Jarvis, you're trying to say, okay, let's say I want to write a blog post and I'm just like struggling to get started. I can input a topic into Jarvis and it'll like start developing a brief for me, or it'll give me some questions to answer within the document. We use Market Views for this. Like it'll suggest to me what questions to answer within the blog post to make sure I take a holistic approach to what I'm creating. So it is human plus machine. Everything I'm doing is being assisted by this machine. That's what I'm saying is going to happen in the agency world. So if you're doing advertising or email or communications or social, whatever it is, the AI is going to be there to assist you in what you do, to make it more efficient and to make it better.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm interested because this is a really good conversation. You've got Tim. Tim has been in the agency world for what, 100 years, Tim? Something like that. And not only that, is that it's successful at it. Sold a really big agency, started another one. Like they've been doing something very specifically. What I think we're talking about here, Paul, is that there is a stigma associated with artificial intelligence, especially when you're talking to agency owners, many of them like Tim, who have been doing something for a really long time. This is the way that it works and really believes in human capacity. And I think that's an interesting thing, because I think for a long time, I always thought artificial intelligence was sticking its nose up at human potential. And actually, like, I'm listening to you, Paul, because if we were in church right now, I'd be like, amen. Right? Because you're saying something for the first time, and any kind of expert that I've ever talked to on the subject that actually is giving me kind of the parameters and saying, no, actually humans are very important. They're very important parts of artificial intelligence in the way that you're actually shaping it. Whereas before, people are like all scared because they're like, I'm going to be replaced.
I'll give you, so the best way we've learned to teach people is use case level. Just keep explaining very specific use cases. So another one would be, we use Descript for our podcast. And Descript, if you've never seen it, is magical. They have an option that says remove all filler words. You can literally just click the tool, and it will not only remove the filler words out of the transcript, it will remove it out of the video. It edits the video for you. You can type text in, and it'll actually deep fake like that happening, like stuff that's impossible. And it's like $19 a month. Like, AI is actually an accessible, affordable technology in specific use cases to help you do things better and faster as a human.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So it really isn't one or the other. And, the thing that I'm fascinated by in talking with people like yourself, at the end of the day, all we want to do at our agency is continue to get better. And you have to be able to look in the mirror and know what you're looking at, to be able to constantly break things and try and get to another place. So we see the opportunity for it, but the way that you framed it it's just in a way that it's not either or. It's how do the tools, every great practitioner in every trade has great tools. And for us, the most educated, I think AI is going to wind up to be exactly what you said, a key component to to a successful agency.
I'll tell you what I think the opportunity is for agencies is, in your personal life, we talked about earlier, all these applications that are using AI, you don't ever think about it. Like if you get routed around an accident by Google Maps because it's predicting a faster route, you don't think, thank God for machine learning. I believe that in probably 5 to 7 years, all marketing software will be infused with AI. All of these things will just be happening. There'll be recommendations of actions to take, how to improve your emails, how to improve your blog posts. Like it'll just be infused, and you'll be like, you won't think about it. But we're nowhere close to that right now. And so as an agency, you can find the things you spend the most time doing and go find smarter technology to do it. You're already buying CRMs and email and social tools. Like just buy the ones that have smarter software, and you're going to be able to level up your agency faster than everybody else.
I love it. It's kind of funny. It's like a Jerry Springer final thought on AI, but I'll tell you, I really do feel like this is the most comprehensive I've really heard someone speak to it. And then also in addition to that, like, obviously we're taking a lot of your generous time, but how did that evolve to get to this institute? And tell us some more about that, because I feel like if people right now obviously want to learn, like I'm sitting here going like, well, I want to be around Paul more and I want to learn. Tell me more about the institute and what people can check out, because I think that's going to be really important for folks on here who are sitting around going like, I want to, okay, I'm in. What's next? What's the next?
So, I mean, like a lot of agencies will spin off ideas, products, other businesses out of their agency. That's basically what we did. So in 2015, I'd become convinced AI was the future, is going to change everything. It's like, well, what do we do with it? I can raise 20 million and try and build this intelligence engine, but I'm not a developer. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't build software. So I was like, well, that's not probably the best path. Like, what if we tell the story of it? That's what we do. We're storytellers. So it's like, all right, so me and Mike Kaput, who's our chief content officer now, like, let's just start a blog. So we started a blog, called it Marketing AI Institute. And it's like, I don't know, people start subscribing, we'll do something with it. Fast forward to 2018, we got about 5,000 subscribers from all these Fortune 500 companies, Mark Cuban, analysts, like major people are following what we're doing. And it's like, oh, we should probably turn this into something. And so that's when I was like, well, let's launch a conference. So Joe Polizzi, done Content Marketing World, was a friend of mine. It's like, that's a viable business model. It's a media company with an event. So that's what we did. I put a bunch of my own money in, turned it into, launched the conference, spun it off in January 2019 as its own media and event company, and then became kind of the founder and CEO of these two entities. Raised $1 million seed round, later on, I guess in fall of 2020 to build the Institute business. And so today the Institute, which is where most of my time is spent since I sold the agency, is a media, event, and online education company. And so it's really now about publishing content that helps people understand and adopt AI. And so we have about 27,000 subscribers, opt-in contacts to the Institute. We have an intelligent automated agency course that teaches agencies how to integrate AI. We have a new Intro to AI for Marketers free class that, like, tomorrow we're doing one. There's like 700 people registered for it. So, I mean, it's just like our mission right now is to introduce AI to 1 million marketers by the end of 2026. So it's kind of like that big goal of how do we move the market?
Yeah.
We need like 1/10 of all marketers to at least have taken time to understand what it is. If you choose to do nothing with that, that's up to you. But if we can just get 30 minutes of their time and explain AI at a fundamental level, I'm convinced that we can move the market, that we can actually get people understanding and adopting it and change the way the industry runs.
This marketer has been moved.
Yeah, I'm a believer. Yeah, it's like I'm in, and I love it.
Yeah,
it's just, man, you've done so much. Yeah. I'm always blown away just to talk to you for a little bit. And obviously, we've taken a lot of your time, but I'm really excited because, this is something that is an open-ended conversation. It's like, I want to have Paul back again and again and again, because we could never truly pack in 40 minutes of like everything that you could give to the audience. But I mean, our journey on just this conversation alone, from where you were, the decisions you made, living on purpose and like really being thoughtful about where you're going, your North Star, and then what all of that intentionality ended up doing. Because look what you did by you saying no, and by you also being really intentional with where you're going. The 27,000 people that you just talked about may never have existed. And that freaking blows my mind that these things that you're putting out in the world and that we all want to put out in the world can truly impact people, man. So I'm just like so blown away that you gave us some time. And I know that I don't want to speak for all the agency talk folks, but man, I'm constantly blown away. I'm just humbled to be your friend. But before we let you go, Paul, because you've given us so many great things, I want to speak to the person in the room who's like, well, crap, what do I do now? And this has been a lot of stuff. And so we always end our show with what the one big thing is. Like, somebody slams their computer down, they can go take an action. And so we want to leave you in the audience with that is what is the one big thing somebody can take away from the show and go take action on?
I mean, for me, when it comes to AI, you just take the next step. Like, that's all we're ever trying to get someone to do is, like, if that piqued your curiosity and you believe that there is something to this, take the next step. Like, reach out. I'm happy to recommend a book or a free class, or like take the Intro to AI class. We do it every couple of weeks. Like, just do the next thing, because the action from there is make a list of the things you do every month, and then find the ones where you're spending the most time on it, and just go search AI for X. So if you write 5 blog posts a month, or if you do 5 podcasts a month, just like AI for podcasting, AI for blog posts, and just find a tool, do a demo, try it out. Like, you're not going to understand AI until you actually start experiencing it. And you'll realize you don't need any technical background to use this stuff. It's just smarter tech. And you're already using tech to do your job. So why not use tech that's smarter? So that's kind of my takeaways. Take the next step and test out AI and experience it for yourself.
I think that's fantastic advice. And I will tell you that I would never question your motivation. but I can make an observation about your vision, and I think it's sensational. When you came out of college and you were 4 years in, you were looking at the pricing model at the agency, and now you're looking at AI and how to drive the industry. So to me, that sounds pretty motivated, and it's awesome vision. So just thank you so much for the conversation today. And I know I'll be on that course. I think you said it's tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I'll be there with my hand up.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I love what you're doing. I think telling the story of agencies is so important. And there's so many incredible agency owners. I mean, it's why I wrote the book back in 2011. Like, HubSpot had tried to get me to share what we were doing for years. And I was like, why? Who am I? Like, who am I to share what I'm doing? What I realized is I was just one voice, but I was willing to take the risk to put that voice out there. And that's what I think the legacy is on the agent side. It's like, I hope that I inspired more people to put their voice out there and realize like they can say and be whatever they want. Like, no one should be judging them for what they think success should look like. And so that's what I love what you guys are doing, is just like tell these stories, like hear from all these different people and let those stories inspire people.
Man, and they truly did.
Thank you.
Starting with these two guys. So thank you so much, Paul. And we really
thank you.
Everybody talks about thinking outside the box. Paul doesn't have one. And so I love just the thought behind looking at the pricing model when he came right out of school. I love that he's looking at where, the world is going as far as, AI, and what is trite to so many people. And they think they know, like you said, he's making it actionable. And I think he's going to have an impact on the marketing industry that is seismic. And so I just have so much respect for people that don't stop.
Yeah, but you and I love him for another reason too. He's a driver.
Yeah.
He's a person who sat there and questioned what was going on, why it was happening, but not just that. The most annoying person to you and me is someone who questions that doesn't do anything. It's like he questioned it. He did all the research. He took his time, probably not. I mean, literally the company he was working for probably didn't pay him to do all that research in time. And then he took that to them and said, look, I think there's a better way. Here it all is. And then they said, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, let's go explore that, which sent him on his journey. I just don't see enough of that. I don't see enough of that.
No, he's special, and plus he's a good dude, which just you can tell very quickly. So I thought that was really cool, and what a great way to start the year. And I think if the people that are in some way paying attention to Agency Talk take the time to make AI actionable, and he's given us the steps, it's just a smart way to start 2022. So
100%. All right. Well, we got a lot more of this coming, and I can't wait to do it with you. And we got a lot more cool guests set up. And even, he mentioned Pete Caputa, and I've reached out to him. He was one of the first folks over at HubSpot that started a company called DataBox, and we'll get him on here too to talk. But in the meantime, man, Happy New Year.
You too.
Again, as I always say, I'm just honored to do this with you. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, my friend.